What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table, and this time we're taking a look at the Urban EDC Supply exclusive of the F5.5 by Jesper Voxnaes. And this knife, there's been a couple of iterations of this knife. I think the original one is called the F5, and it's a custom knife by Vox. And with Urban EDC Supply, what they've done is they've started creating a couple of, I think it's collaboration with Vox knives, and they've done some production versions of the knife. The first run, I think it was micarta. They had green micarta and burgundy natural micarta. And then I think this is the second run they do, and this is in bronze, and they had a titanium version with some milling, look like rainbows of sorts, or waves. So when I saw it, I've said in my channel before that I like when knives have some heft to them when they're heavier, and when you have bronze scales like this one has on both sides. Bronze is heavy, and there's no milling on this, so you get that feeling of a very solid knife. It's a small knife. If I show you, I think it's well under 3-inch blade. Yeah, see, well under 3 inches, and for that size, it's actually pretty heavy, and I like that in a knife. Okay, again, if you're looking for a light knife, in my channel, weight is never a problem, so it's not a consideration when I'm picking a knife. In fact, if I get to choose, I usually choose the heavier version of the knife. So let me tell you a little bit about the knife. So it's a liner lock, but it's got nested liner. So the only location you'll see the liner is right here where you disengage and where it interfaces with the blade. Other than that, you can't see the liners anywhere. They are nested inside. I don't know if you can tell in there, maybe. So you can't really see them, and I like that very much. It feels very refined when they do it like that. It's a thicker knife, but it's not big. I think the blade to handle ratio it's pretty good, because with this finger tool, I wear size large gloves, and you still can get a full 4-finger purchase on the knife. It has they call this the anchor motif, and this is bronze. So I've had it for about a month, and I expect it to patina pretty well. It has an LMAX blade, you can see right in there. And LMAX is one of my favorite steels. It's been around for a long time, and I feel like right now everything is all about M390 or 20CV. But LMAX is one of those really well-rounded steels where you can sharpen it, but it has really good edge retention, and it has some toughness and some corrosion resistance. It's a really well-rounded steel. But because it's been along for a longer time, it's kind of, its time kind of has passed by, but in composition and in performance, it's really still very, very much relevant, at least in my opinion. We have a deep carry pocket clip and a lanyard hole back here that actually I think is really well designed. It just flows really well with the design of the knife. You got some jimping back here, and then you have some jimping exactly where you would expect your finger to land. They located it exactly. But let me give you some size comparisons here. So here it is against the Benchmade bug out, and here it is against the mini bug out. And what you can see here is that obviously it's taller than both, but lengthwise you're looking at a little bit shorter than the than the full-size bug out. If I because the blade, you have a more blade on the full-size bug out. The sharpened blade, it's closer to the mini bug out. But if you can see the handles, the handle on the F5.5 is far more substantial. Now, what you can also see is that it is far thicker than these. It's made with much thicker blade stock. The Elmax blade is very, very thick. You know, if you can put those two side by side. And then the bug out is a very thin blade, but still, the blade on the F5.5, this feels like a substantial knife. They definitely, the bug outs and this do not feel like they're going to be used for the same thing. Here it is against the Spyderco Para 2 and the Para 3. So in terms of size, I think the Para 3 is probably a better comparison for this. You have about the same sharpened blade length, and the carry profile is similar, not identical, you know, but you know, it's approximate. It's a little bit shorter and a little bit, but it's still in the same ballpark, I guess is what I would say. Now this one is designed by Jesper Voxnaes, and Jesper does work with Urban EDC Supply. He does a lot of collaborations with Fox knives. In fact, let me check. I have the Suru out here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. That's the Suru. I'll do a review on this one at a little bit of a later date. So Vox and Fox knives from Italy, and when you see one of his knives, you know, I can recognize his style. There's a flavor to his designs that really appeals to me. It's you know, I own a lot of knives and I enjoy a lot of knives, but his designs are really good. So this one's a sheep's foot, and like I said, it's a liner lock. And if we talk ergonomics, it's, like I said, it fits a 4-finger purchase if you use the finger choil, and I think it's a decent finger choil. If I choke back on it, my hand kind of falls here in the back, but I think it's still pretty darn good. I think if I had my way, I'd had probably a 1/4 inch, a little bit longer. But I think it's meant to be a little bit of a smaller knife, to have a little bit of a smaller carry. The action on it is a little bit it's a little bit sweet and sour. I think it's good, and I think in hands that are smaller than mine, it would be a very good action. But for me, because I have a bigger hand and it's a smaller knife, my finger curls a lot, and you can see I've kind of scratched my nail here because it curls and my finger almost wants to push up instead of out. So I have to kind of adjust my grip to deploy it out. And it deploys reliably. I think in a little bit smaller hands, you wouldn't have to even think about it. But for me, I have to kind of concentrate and say, okay, hold it a little bit further away, you know, push out. Otherwise, I just push up and it just won't deploy. Now I've had it for about a month, and I've carried it a couple of times. I think it'll break in pretty good, and I think it'll patina really nicely. But I would say that probably in larger hands the action is okay. In smaller hands, I think you'll really enjoy the action. I'm curious to see how this one will break in. You know, fit and finish is actually pretty good. When I got it, it's perfectly centered. It still remained perfectly centered. There's no blade play anywhere. There's up and down. You got solid lockup. You got really good materials here. You got, like I said, an Elmax blade that is really, really good steel, and it's nested and you can't see it anywhere. So I think the fit and finish is really good. I really like the grind on that blade. You know, a lot of people like the stonewash. I like to see the lines going down. I think that I enjoy that in the knife, and especially the contrast of the lines going down with the satin flats going this way. I think it's really, really nice. The cutting performance is actually a lot better than you would expect. It's, like I said, it's a thick knife. You know, the blade stock, you know, I don't think I compared it to Para 2, but that's a Para 2, the Para 3, I'm sorry. And this one's much, much thicker. And like I said, it's much thicker than the bug out. But because it has such a tall blade and it has like this almost full flat grind, it comes down to a really thin edge, and you get to the cutting performance. It's actually pretty good. So you get a combination of a really solid handle, a thicker, you know, solid feeling knife, but you get a laser beam. You get a really, really nice cutting performance. Now, the airing of grievances, there's not a lot I don't like about this knife. Like I said, I think, you know, in the paramilitaries, the hole, you know, it's further away. You know, it's further away from this side, you know, the neighbors, and I can deploy it far more easily. This one, like I said, I have to kind of think about it to deploy it, but it still deploys pretty well. I'm hoping that eventually it drops shut. Right now I have to kind of coax it down, and the pocket clip, this wave up here, it kind of digs into your hand a little bit when you really hold it and when you're really pushing through. It's a good clip, especially the dip carry, but I wish that this had another bend that goes that way, so that it wouldn't dig into my hand. I think I'm gonna put a lanyard on it. I think it's gonna look really cool. But anyways, you can still get this one. If you go to Urban EDC Supply, you can still find this one in stock. They don't have many of them. But like I said, I've seen where they've done some micarta versions of the knife, titanium and now bronze. So I anticipate, without having any actual knowledge, but I anticipate that they'll do more versions of this. Maybe a carbon fiber would be pretty cool. They've done carbon fiber in the past. So guys, anyways, if you liked it, if you think I've earned it, then like, subscribe, and until we see you, until the next one, take care.